Hey, what's up, YouTube? Goratha here. So a lot of people have been asking me whether or not Archmage is going to be viable in 3.25. I figured I would make a quick video and discuss the changes. And first off, I want to say I think Archmage is going to be one of the best builds to League Start next patch. 100%. That being said, I do want to go over the changes and talk about all the good stuff. So the first big change is Inspiration is now a less multiplier. This is not showing in PvP yet, but this is a bad thing. So this is a nerf. Your mana cost is going to be higher now. The way we solve this is we get less cast speed early on. So like super early on, you don't want to scale your cast speed to out of control. Otherwise, you'll run out of mana casting. And you want to go for reduced mana costs later. Reduced mana cost on rings. This is going to be the solve for that problem. The next change, this is a buff, is endurance charges are now a lot better. Now we're playing a Hierophant and we get 4 endurance charges just naturally. Yeah, so endurance charges are getting 4% less, or 4% reduced LA damage taken, on top of the physical damage reduction they already have. So when you have 4, you're taking 16% reduced damage, and when you have 5, you're taking 20%. Now I do recommend getting this 5th charge. This is going to require you to get either an anoint, get another minimum charge. So you need the max and the min to get another charge. So you have to anoint Disciple of the Unyielding, or you have to get a min charge on rings. Those are the two options. I think with these changes, you probably can end up dropping suppression if you really want to. If you're playing softcore, I probably wouldn't bother with suppression anymore. I think a lot of people weren't anyways. And this makes the Katava's Thirst option a lot more viable, because before you kind of had to have a Mage Blood to run Katava's Thirst and get suppression. Now if you don't need suppression, you can run Katava's Thirst a lot easier. So that's a pretty big buff to the build if you want to play it that way. Speaking of Katava's Thirst, I mentioned it a lot in the notes here, like the playstyles, a 1-button playstyle versus a 2-button playstyle. You do lose a lot of stats from using Katava's Thirst, so I personally didn't use it, but it is an option. Next change I want to talk about is conversion. Before we were running Taste of Hate, Lightning Coil, and a bunch of conversion from Purity, Watcher's Eye, and the Helmet Craft. They're removing all of that except the Lightning Coil. So the only source of Fizz damage conversion is the Lightning Coil right now on this build. I still think it's probably the play, like, super endgame to get your Fizz hit higher. But, I mean, I didn't really run any conversion anyways on this character until level 100 last league, so it's not really required in the first place. It's just something I decided to do for T17s on hardcore to make my character way tankier. That's everything I wanted to talk about with the 3.25 changes. There is a bunch of notes I made here for the build. The previous videos are still up to date because, like I said, there's not really any changes to the passive tree. There's not really any changes to the playstyle. Real quick, I want to talk about a few things, though. The way we level the character, we're leveling with rolling Magma until 28, and then you can run Firestorm. Now, 31, you can run Archmage right away with Firestorm. Now, I recommend you don't swap to Frostbolt Icenova until later on. The reason for this is you don't really have any cast speed or AoE until later anyways. And if you're League starting this, you probably won't have the Transfigure gem in the first place. So Firestorm just does work as that early campaign, early mapping skill. So you get the Frostbolt Icenova stuff set up. I already mentioned Katava's Thirst. A lot of people prefer this over the 2-button playstyle. It's just a personal preference. If you are not using Katava's Thirst, you want to be using Arcanist Brand for bossing and self-casting for non-bossing. Pretty self-explanatory. Talked about it a lot before in the previous videos. And yeah, I've made some gear setups here for you guys. Early mapping, endgame, Voidstone gear mapping, and like super tanky setup, endgame setup. This build does use a lot of jewels later on. I talk about all the jewels in the patch notes. You guys want to take a look and see why I'm using certain jewels. Grant's pack will be, well, obviously the grave crafting is gone. You get it from actually it's Wildwood, right? I think you get it from the Wildwood boss. Yeah, I think he drops this Brandis pack item now. Might be a lot harder to get now, I'm not quite sure. Brandis pack is very strong though. I'm glad they kept it in the game. This is a very good, unique jewel. This pairs really well with a Natural Instinct, because you get a bunch of extra mana just from the Unnatural Instinct as well. Definitely something to keep an eye out for. Yeah, that's pretty much everything I wanted to talk about. This character will be one of the best builds to League Start. If you don't like playing Frostbolt Icenova, you can always go for Ball Lightning of Orbital. That's very strong. We saw a couple of people play that before. I think Frostbolt Icenova will be the highest DPS Archmage skill. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys next time.